tingle of excitement whenever you walk up the steps to see the pitch and see the game going on. It's wonderful.
I look at the ground and it's just really unique, you know, all those yellow shirts, and I don't think you get that everywhere else.
My memories were of just masses of mostly men walking along with Max and flat caps on, and then the big buzz of the excitement of coming into the ground.
Outside of your family and your friends, it's the longest relationship you're ever likely to have. So the stadium is a bit like coming home.
Well, certainly the players are missing the fans being here, but I think it's safe to say the fans are missing the stadium just as much. And I think it's become very evident for myself and Rob in the studio over recent weeks just how much the fans and the football club mean to the players and everybody together. It's been a real strange time, isn't it? And I think just seeing that piece there, and I think sometimes as players you forget just how much you need the crowd here. I think we've seen the players and we've seen the manager talk about that. But actually just how much the fans are missing being here. It's part of their ritual, part of their religion almost.
Yeah, as one of the supporters said there, outside your family, this is the longest relationship you can have. And they see the hurt the players are going through at the moment. And I mean, when 27,000 people are in a stadium and they can see someone down, they give them a lift. You know what I mean? And these guys are at home watching the game, helpless. You mean they can do nothing to inspire these players on the pitch, and it must be soul destroying for them.
Yeah, well, the first thing we're going to have to talk about is team news, of course, which will be out there already, and then I think there's been a bit of a storm on social media in terms of the selection again. Drimmich starting up top. Norwich, that's how we think they can line up. Duda is in the number 10, Hernandez and Buendia playing in wide areas. Obviously Teti and McLean, and obviously Close is back today, which is good in terms of a bit of experience in central defence. But again, the manager's making a statement, isn't he, in terms of the players he's picking? Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the back five picks itself. And obviously the two defensive players, I mean, they're there. But again, if that's right, and for me, Emi Buendia playing on the right, I think he's wasted there. For me personally, he's wasted. Emi Buendia is a playmaker. Emi Buendia needs to play in the number 10 position and maybe play Hernandez out wide or even Duda out wide, because they have got the energy and the inkling to defend. Emi Buendia is an offensive player that can open doors with his passes. He's not going to open doors with passes if he receives the ball in the defensive third, basically, or getting back, helping the fullback and whatever. He needs to sort of like have a license to more or less say, like, you're only in the team for offensive, raids and whatever. Don't worry about defending, but when we get the ball, make yourself available, and then he can pick the passes out then. And because Norwich's fullbacks do like to get forward so much, there is a responsibility on these wide men to get back defensively as well. And you say, you know, you're asking Buendia to do something he's probably not overly comfortable with doing. So, you know, Cantwell, again, you look at Cantwell, he's been a creative player for Norwich, and we looked at Man United last week and even Southampton game, we said down this left-hand side of Cantwell and Jamal Lewis was probably our best outlet. Yet Cantwell's left out the side again, and Hernandez, rightly so, a bit of pace, a bit of creativity. Duda, it's probably that many are thinking, well, what's he done to earn himself a place in the side?
I think Todd's got to be seriously unlucky not to be in the side today, because I thought he did really well until he went off last week against Manchester United. And like you say, him and Jamal Lewis seem to be the biggest threat Norwich have got at the moment. Yeah. You know what I mean? Going down that left-hand side. They certainly were, especially in the first half last week. You know what I mean? Scored the goal on a high. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these players are playing sort of like with a lack of confidence. This guy, every time I've seen him play, he's got a spring in his step. He starts every game. I'm going to be the best player on the pitch and whatever. Scoring a goal, and all of a sudden it's taken away again. So surprised he's been left out. Hernandez in the team, I think, needs to be in the team for the pace up front. Drimmich up front, not done enough for me over the last few games where he's been involved. But today, hopefully, they might change their way. I mean, he's a target man. He's not one that's going to run in corners or beat players for pace and whatever, or link up play. He needs balls up to him. He needs to control it, be stronger when he's controlling it. And people like these, Buendia and Hernandez and Duda, have to be around him, so he's got someone to link up.
And has he got plenty of experience as well? Is that something probably lacking a little bit in the Norwich side? Because the other thought is Adam Ida's probably warranted a start in the team, or but youthful exuberance. But if Adam Ida's in the team and there's Buendia behind him, and has he got the experience to work with Buendia and Hernandez and Duda? It's a difficult one. Is that what Drimich gives you? It gives you a bit of experience as well.
Doesn't give to me.
Yeah.
He doesn't give it to me, but he gives it to the manager, and that's the most important. The manager trusts him, because if the manager didn't trust him, he wouldn't be in the team.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's time for an Eadie to maybe make a start. If he's sort of like lost confidence with Pukki, play Eadie, because what Drimich has given over the last few games that I've seen live here, Eadie's not going to give you no less than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what Eadie's going to give you is a youthfulness, a lack of fear in his play. He will be tenacious. He will put players under pressure. He has got the pace to get balls beyond the defence as well, and he can score goals, which Drimich hasn't done over the last two, 3 games. So what difference is playing Eadie?
Yeah, and we're going to chat to someone who knows Adam Eadie very well, actually, through the youth system at Norwich. We've got Steve Weaver with us on the line. Steve, can you hear me?
Yeah, Darren, you okay?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Thanks for joining us. And, I mean, it's great for you to kind of sit back and see some of these youth players going in at the minute, but it must be very difficult as well, because they're having to deal with a very different mentality. You're in an empty stadium. You know, when you're blooding youngsters, can they get used to that stadium feel? Can they get used to the fans being there? But this is something very different for them, because there's no one there watching, is there? Essentially, it's almost like playing in an under-23 match for them.
Yeah, it is. We did a practice match just before the start of restart, and listen, Darren, I'm pretty sure you played in some bounce games and things during your time. It was, it was very, very unreal. I think it's had a big effect as well on everyone. In terms of, I think some teams have needed their home support. I think we're one of them clubs. It's very, very, very strange. It's the games are going ahead, but it's not football as we would know. And I think we found out in the last couple of weeks how important fans are to the players.
But in terms of your job, Steve, it's all going well, I guess. The players are getting opportunities, young players are getting opportunities. Josh Martin's been in, he made his debut against Southampton, and Jordan Thomas, of course, has now been involved a little bit. So things are looking good in terms of the conveyor belt, but I guess for them, it's about managing them now, isn't it? Because this isn't a real situation. But someone like an Adam Eadie, he's been about it quite a while now. He probably thinks he needs a bit of a starting place.
Well, I think for Adam's point of view, I mean, he's only just turned 19. I think probably in just the way that you're talking, I was just listening to the chat you were having, is that there'll be a lot of people sort of around now where Adam's put his name in the thing and in the mix, and people are thinking that maybe it's his chance to play. What I would say is I think he's looked lively since we've come back from the restart, and I would imagine Daniel's very close to putting his faith in him, because of his performances. But I think for us to talk about it's always that I don't spend, I'm not in that dressing room. I don't spend time with them players as much as Daniel does, and he knows what's going on in the background. So we take it on face value, where there's probably a little bit more going on and more thought that's, we're picking a team and management that you do. So the good thing for us is, as an academy, is at least, we're sitting here waiting for Adam to hopefully get his opportunity, and that should come at some stage, because, he looks worthy of starting the game now. So he's got himself in that frame. So from our side, that's we couldn't ask for any more. We're just waiting for him to get that opportunity.
Yeah, Steve, fantastic stuff as always. We'll speak to you at half time. Thanks for joining us, mate. Enjoy the game.
Yeah, take care.
I mean, it's obvious there. You can kind of sense a little bit in his voice, like, as an academy director or leader, you want to see those lads get that opportunity, especially when they have gone on and done a bit. You kind of probably think to yourself, why have they not had that opportunity? They look like they can offer something.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult for the manager. He's in a situation now where the old adage many years ago, kids ain't going to get you out of trouble, kids ain't going to win you anything and whatever. So he's sort of like relying on the more experienced players to get him out. And he probably sees it as, we're still in a hunt here, we still need the points and whatever. So I'm going to go with my experienced players, and I totally understand where he's coming from. And I'm not going to criticise him because he's done fantastically well. You know what I mean? But sometimes you sort of like got to go against your feeling and put youngsters in an area like Adam up front and say, go on, go ahead. You know what I mean? Just go out there.
That's the mentality of a different type of manager, isn't it? I was given a debut against Vitas Arnhem in the European Cup in one of the club's biggest sort of ever games, and Mike Walker was like, away you go, as an 18-year-old. Yeah.
No, absolutely. But I mean, I've been a manager. I'm not at this level, but I've been a manager like in the basement league and whatever. And you do, if you're under pressure, you need a result. The first thing you look for, the first players you look for is the right-hand side, the first team dressing room, rather than the left-hand side, the reserve dressing room, because you feel you brought them in for a reason. They're good enough, you believe, to come in and do a job. So I'm going to give them the responsibility. Yeah. You know what I mean? And at the moment, the club the manager's probably still thinking, listen, we're still in this. We can win like 3 games, 4 games, whatever. But I need to go to that side of the dressing room rather than that side at the moment. Yeah. If they lose today, the mentality might change and say, listen, we're not going to win anything. Let's go youth.
Yeah. And the players need that 12th man. And we've got just a little something for you to look at now. Just as a little bit of a difference to show you what it is with and without a crowd. Take a look at this. Okay, I think we can see that was pretty flat. We're going to have a little look now, just what it would be like with match day sound.
Buendia is halfway inside the United half. Cantwell, 25 yards out, hits a shot into the net! Norwich City have an FA Cup quarter-final goal, and it's a brilliant effort from Todd Cantwell. 25 yards out, drilled low, Romero clawing at it, couldn't get there.
Even watching it like that on the telly, what a difference that makes, you know. So, and I think it's hard to explain to people just how we've been lucky enough to be at the stadium to watch your games, but how soulless it is. It's really strange, and it must be the same for the players.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like looking at those 2 clips is incredible, because that crescendo of noise when Todd scored the goal not only would have happened when the ball hit the back of the net, it would have been going for 10, 15 minutes after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The place would have been jumping. Yeah. You know what I mean? And in that period of time, the players would have been on a crest of a wave. Here, the goal's gone in, everyone's patting him on the back. There's been 50 people clapping him, and then his back lining up to start again. It's sort of it's surreal. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's surreal.
Well, we're going to talk to Tom Mills now, actually, who's obviously, cricket is coming back very soon, and the ECB have decided to actually pipe crowd noise into the stadium for the players to be able to react to. So, Tom Mills, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi everybody, you all right?
Yeah, good. So this is something that is has been decided by the ECB, with the players getting involved, saying they want that atmosphere within the kind of stadium or the grounds to be heard, so the players can feed off a little bit. That's not happened in the Premier League since the restart. What a difference does it make? Why was that decision made by the ECB?
Yeah, well, if you can imagine what it's like at the football ground now, it's going to be even worse for the guys playing test match cricket, because obviously in a game of football, you've got 22 players on the pitch, plus backroom staff, managers on the sideline making noise, whereas cricket, you've literally got the 11 fielders plus 2 batters, and it's a slower paced game, it goes on obviously all day, test match cricket, whereas football is obviously only 90 minutes. So, though, speaking as a player, I know if you're out in the field for 6-7 hours, you're into 100 overs in the field, you're stood out there on the boundary, there's no crowd to kind of look at, interact with, it can really suck it out of you, and it can really affect you how you're able to get up for the game. So it's obviously something that they've spoken about. I think it's the right thing to do, and hopefully it'll give the lads a little bit of lift and make them at least feel like there's a little bit more going on than what there actually is.
And is it arguably a little bit easier in cricket, because there isn't, I mean, you've obviously got umpires, but there's no referees with a whistle, so you can't pipe noise in here, because if there's a whistle in the noise, are the players going to stop? So arguably it's probably a little bit easier to do that in cricket?
Yeah, and look, I'm sure it won't be deafening. It will just be kind of a hum maybe around the stadium that just gives a little bit of background to the players. But yeah, I don't think it'll be too distracting. Hopefully it'll work well and be a good thing. Yeah,
and you're kind enough to come to the studio earlier on the season, and quite a lot's happened since then, since the time you come in. What have you made of it, the whole project restart and beyond, really, Norwich's season?
Yeah, look, it's been great to have football back, isn't it? Live sport back on the TV to watch every day, pretty much every night. So I've enjoyed that. We're just now starting to get back to training, so we haven't been doing anything this summer either. So I'm looking forward to getting back. And obviously as a Norwich fan, it's been frustrating just watching the games, and you come back from that obviously extended break hopeful and optimistic that we'd make a good run at it. Obviously we're still not out of it yet, but yeah, you can tell the lads are trying. It's just not going our way at the moment, but it's been great to, as you say, just have football back on and have some sport to get behind.
And being an elite sportsman, Tom, surely you're the same kind of feeling that me and Rob are. You want to play at the highest level. We want to see Premier League football here next season. We're not happy watching Championship football again.
No, of course you want the best, don't you? As I said, you've got to. Obviously, I watch it as a fan, and I want to win, and I want to watch the boys do well. But then also, as a professional sportsman, you know that it seems to me that the lads are trying hard. Do you know what I mean? And they're not. I personally don't think that they're shirking off at all. So, but yeah, you want to be watching Premier League football. It's been brilliant to be back in the big leagues, and hopefully, if the worst does happen, it won't be a case where we're kind of languishing too long and we're in a good position to bounce back.
So Mark, thanks for joining us. You're going to join us half-time as well, so we'll speak to you then.
Yeah, cheers guys.
I mean, again, it's pretty evident, but cricket's a very different game to football, and it may be a little bit easier to pipe that noise kind of into the stadium to make a difference. But we were talking about, and we've got a slide here now actually of the fixtures of Norwich coming up, the league form of the bottom 5 teams, and there's one win in there, Rob.
Yeah.
One win out of all of those games. I mean,
Incredible.
what does it say to you? It has this kind of no fans scenario kind of shown just the difference between the quality sides, the quality players, compared to the teams near the bottom that actually probably do need the fans more than those teams at the top.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're just looking at one win. I didn't realise that, but it's an unbelievable statement there saying that the best players are in the top 6 sides of the Premiership, and not the not so good ones are down the bottom. You know what I mean? There's a reason for that. You know what I mean? Like you say, they go out there and there's no surround, there's no surround noise, there's nothing to lift them. This is genuine football out there. If you're good enough, you'll win the games. If you ain't good enough, you'll get beaten.
But that's why, I guess, then, why some players are at the top 6 side. It's not just about their playing ability. We all know technically Norwich have got some great players. Yeah. But it's that mentality side. It's how we can deal with those situations where I watch Man City and Liverpool play, and I think they could play behind closed doors every single week and still batter teams. It doesn't make it irrelevant to them because their players are mentally coping with the situation, whereas it seems our players need that situation to feed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I mean, the Man City-Liverpool game, the Man City-Chelsea game the week prior to that, they were good games of football. You know what I mean? No one worried about the crowd then because it was proper football, good football. You know what I mean? For some reason, like I say, these players need something else. Like you say, technically they're all good enough to play in the Premier League. They've shown that over a number of times. But for some reason, they're not, whether it's psychological or, I don't know, you know what I mean? Or whether it's just the attitude and the character of players. You know what I mean? Some players like crowd pleasers. You know what I mean? They need a crowd. They need someone to sort of like showboat in front of. They haven't got no one to showboat in there. It's just proper hard working, doing what they've done on the training pitch, making themselves difficult to beat and whatever like. But sometimes players need patting on the back and saying how well they're doing by the supporters and whatever like. And if they don't get that, they sort of like tend to lose their effect on the game.
And perhaps they need kind of the mentality of a boxer. We're going to talk to Anthony Agogo now because a boxer is often training on their own. They work really hard alone. They need to feed off that crowd. We're in it, but actually it's quite a lonely place to be, isn't it? And as a boxer in the ring, building up to a fight, it's a very lonely place to be. So is that kind of a mentality that Norwich could use in the changing rooms? Because at the minute they don't seem to have, without using the word of fighters, they don't seem to have too much of that in their squad.
Yeah, I think that's it, Darren. Personally, I think I would like to see a bit more fight, a bit more grit and determination from the team because we've got the ability. We've shown, throughout the season that we've got the ability. I was at Spurs away at the Spurs Stadium, and we were so unfortunate to come away with no points. We bossed Spurs that game, played them off the park against a very formidable Jose Mourinho team. So we've got the ability. It's that determination, I think, that we're a little bit lacking and have been since lockdown. But yeah, I think that mentality it's definitely a mentality thing. I don't think it's a quality thing because we have got the quality and we've proven that in the past. We proved that last season. Getting up so well, but yeah, that would be my opinion.
I mean, you went into the club early on in the season as well to do some of your motivational talking, so you'd hope that kind of the lads would pick up on that. But that says to me as well that they do need that. They need that kind of people coming in to try and lift them a little bit in terms of their mentality. If you was in the changing rooms now, I can imagine the type of things you'd be saying, probably similar to me and Rob. But how do you teach that? Because you can go in and do your motivational speaking, but is that something that's just either in you or not in you in terms of leadership?
Yeah, it's a tough one, that really is a tough one because you can motivate the players, you can pump them up before the game, but it's when you go a goal down, what do you do? Like anybody can get pumped up for the start, but when in boxing, I'll talk about boxing, that's what I know. You go into the boxing ring, you're feeling really confident, you're feeling really prepared really well. You take a few shots, and your shots aren't landing, your confidence can drop. And it's then when you got to remember like what the plan is, and it's when you go a goal down. That's when you need a couple of leaders in the team to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and to give some of the other younger players kick up the backside and to remember like, what you're doing and what you're fighting for. And I think that's what we lack, in my opinion. We lack that Jordan Henderson type of player, the Patrick Vieira, the Roy Keane. We lack that, the inspiration in the middle of the park or anywhere across the park that can grab a game by the scruff of the neck and say, right, we're not as good as Man City, we're not as good as Man United or Arsenal, but we're going to give these guys the biggest fight of their life, and we're going to win just through pure determination and aggression. And that's what I think we lack. I think we're a bit too naive at times, a bit too nice, and we don't show a pair sometimes.
I mean, you touched on it there. It's about when things aren't going well, isn't it? We've seen Norwich in the Championship when they're flying. We've seen Norwich at the start of the season when teams haven't kind of worked them out too much. When you're playing well, they play well, but it's that, you know, to use a boxing analogy, when you're getting punched in the face in a ring, you know, it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's not about your technical ability then, it's actually thinking mentally, can you deal with it? Can you pull yourself back on a mental level?
Yep, 100%. Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face. And that's true. And I think you show the true mentality of somebody when they suffer a loss and they come back from the loss. How do they come back? Or how do they come back from going a goal down? And too often this season, we've gone a goal down and we've crumbled. And we've gone a goal down and that goal's been 2, 3 or 4-0, as you saw the other day. So, I mean, I think as characters, I don't think we're a million miles off. We shouldn't be bottom of the table. We shouldn't be 6 points adrift. I think we're better than that. That doesn't do us justice, I don't think. I think we're a couple of players away from being a good, solid mid-table team. I really do. But those couple of players are extremely important. I mean, we see the other end of the table, Man United, like Bruno Fernandes has come in and has changed them, and we've got the other players playing better. We need 1 or 2 players to come in and incentivise the lads and get them playing better. It's a shame because maybe it's come too late now, but you know, it's been an odd season. We've either played really well or really poorly, and there hasn't been a lot of. I think we lack, like all the good teams. They have that play or that mentality in the team to, even when you're not playing well, you can still grind a win out, or at least a draw away from home. We don't have that. If we play well, we'll get a win or we'll get a draw. If we don't play well, if we're not quite 9 or 10 out of 10, then we'll get drubbed 2 or 3-0.
Interesting stuff. Look, you're going to join us again at half-time, aren't you, as well?
Pardon, Darren?
You're going to join me again at half-time as well, so we'll speak to you then. Thanks for joining me, mate. I'll speak to you in a bit. It's interesting stuff, isn't it? You're talking to someone there who has to have that ingrained in him in terms of that final determination. So to him to look at that, and he must think, how do you not have it? Because as somebody who has it, it's quite hard to understand how people don't have that as well. Yeah,
he talked a lot of sense there. It was incredible. I was listening to that closely, and it was completely the way when we played in whatever. Like, I mean, it's here. You know, it's here. It comes from within. It comes from within. It comes from within, and you've got to have that resolve within yourself to say, listen, there's something going wrong here. What do we do about it? I need to regroup. I need to bring the fullbacks. We don't want to go. We don't want to attack for the next 5 minutes. We've got to get this right. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's knowing what to do yourself in an environment. Like he said, he's on his own in the boxing ring. They've got 10 other players out there. But even so, have an effect on those 10 players. Shout at them, like gyrate them, whatever. But get it solid so you're in a position to say, well, listen, we're going for a bad patch in a moment. 5 minutes, we need to be solid, we need to be like resolved, we need to be compact and do it. Yeah, now before we started the show, Rob, off air, you were talking to me about the positivity and what Norwich need for the rest of the season to give themselves half a chance. And we can see the upcoming fixtures for the rest of the teams here. And just tell us your thoughts, because you're very positive, I have to say. I loved it. You motivate me. Listen, mate, I love this club. I want them to stay in the Premier League more than anything. You know, I mean, I think Daniel said at the start, Project Restart, 5 wins. I'm looking now, let's get 10 points.
Which would give Norwich how many points?
31 points. 31
Has anyone ever stayed in the Premier League with 31 points?
No, they haven't. But this could be the season, because this is a seriously unreal season. This is an unreal season. Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Watford, and even West Ham until they beat Chelsea. I still think they're struggling to get a result. These are struggling to get a result. So let us be the team in that bottom 5 that can start getting results. If they get 10 points, 31 points, and hopefully the others don't win because they're not looking like winning at the moment as well. I mean, they might be saying the same stuff, but I'm fingers crossed that let's get 10 points, 3 home wins, 1 point away at Watford. The Chelsea and the Man City games are 3 hits, basically, and then see where we are at the end of the season.
Here's a question for you. Did you ever win Player of the Season?
I come second to you, didn't I?
Did you? See, you know, right?
Show
you can always
pony.
tell.
You're a show
so
pony.
here's the question for you. Whenever a goalkeeper or defender wins Player of the Season, what does that generally say about your
means
season?
we were under pressure a lot.
But someone, they're talking about Tim Krul, you know, who's had a fantastic season for Norwich and likely probably to win Player of the Season. But that does say he's playing the team that has struggled a little bit, doesn't
answers
it?
a million questions, doesn't it? That he's the one that's been in the game more so than anyone else. You know what I mean? And like I say, quite rightly so. But like I say, you mean one mistake at Arsenal, goalkeeper makes a mistake as a goal. You know what I mean? Watched the game last week against Man United. The saves we were making were top class.
But he can only do so much, can't he? That's the difficulty, isn't it? You run a goalkeeper, and he will mistakes occasionally, but this man has been consistent throughout the season. Because actually, when he first came into the club, he didn't start brilliantly. You know, he got out of jail a little bit by actually the team scoring loads of goals. Now the team aren't doing that, relying on him even more to keep him out, which he stood up to the plate. To be fair to him, he's had a great season.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, we played behind, Gunny was behind us, so Gunny was a top goalkeeper. But if I was playing out there now, I would be more than happy for him to be a goalkeeper behind me because I think he's got all the attributes. He's tall, he fills the goal, confident with his hands and whatever, like good kicker. You know what I mean? Talker as well because we can hear him talk now because we don't hear the crowd. Yeah. So he's a leader at the back, you know what I mean? But he must be getting frustrated because I can only do so much and I can only talk so much and whatever, like, because I know I'm going to be busy today.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've said last chance saloon a few times this season. Rob, is it today?
This is the last chance saloon, yes.
Okay.
They need to win today.
Brilliant. Right, we'll see you at half time. Enjoy the game.
At the back, Teti, McLean and Duda in midfield, Buendia and Hernandez wide, Dermich up front, Pukki and Cantwell amongst the substitutes. Let's bring in Darren Eadie, who's just hot-footed it from the TV studio just to our left-hand side to join me on commentary here on BBC Radio Norfolk. And, well, Darren, the big talking point on the radio, at least before the match, has been no Pukki, no Cantwell, and Adam Eden not getting the nod to come in. How are you feeling about all of those things?
Well, I think we feel probably the same as the majority of the Norwich City fans do. You know, you can't hide behind the facts. You look at where we think Norwich need to improve or have struggled in recent times, and we come to the same
clear-cut scoring opportunity, and then just after the drinks break, it had all got a bit sloppy.
Well, I don't want to say Groundhog Day, Rob, but we find ourselves in a very similar position again. Good possession for Norwich and a couple of good opportunities in terms of areas in the first 15-20 minutes. Get to the drinks break, concede another poor goal. But there's been too many times where it's kind of slow going forward, and that becomes easy to mark in the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, Brighton will be very happy with their half there. Norwich will not really put them under pressure. Everything Norwich is doing is in front of Brighton. And like you say, there's slow passing, there's slow passing. Like I say, if there was a league for teams keeping the ball and passing, Norwich would be mid-table, no danger. But there needs to be an end product. There needs to be sharpness with their passes. Look at Brighton's goal. I think there's one pass, two pass, down the wing, cross, bomb. Simple. It's a simple game. The longer you take, Brighton will just recover in two banks of four, and the two forwards coming back as well. It's impossible to get through them now. And like I say, if you haven't got that threat beyond, which Norwich haven't, you know what I mean? Hernandez has got it. Like again, he
wants the ball into feet.
Ball into feet rather than chasing it behind him. You're not going to create anything.
And does it come down to the simple text of that, as you're not having the personnel that actually play that way, intelligent enough to run off the ball? Because like I said during the commentaries, we seem to, every player wants the ball into feet, so they stand and wait for it. There's no movement off the ball really. And then you look at Brighton, who are very good defensively, set because they can, because Norwich aren't running off them. It's an easy to mark, because if you're a defender and you're sat as two banks of four and there's no one making any runs and all playing in front of you, it's so easy for them, so easy.
Ask Tim Closer, just take, Jamal Lewis is here, Aaron Moy's coming in here, these two are here. Brighton defender's got the ball right. How many times has he put the ball in that channel for this person to run out there? Tim Closer's having to go out. How many times has Norwich done that? Zero. Yeah. Basically, that is just a basic move.
But is that then right? So at some point, Tim Closer's got to go, I'm going to put it in there anyway. If you don't chase it, I'm going to keep digging you out. But then you've got a player like Dermot who's not going to make those runs. So he's wanting to hit him, but then he's not doing enough holding the ball up to bring players in anyway. So it's almost like...
He's in a no-win situation because he's got the ball there and he's looking up and all he's seeing is just there's no gaps to plaster, there's no spaces to play into. They're dropping to a level where if it goes over there, it's just going to go out for it. But if I was him, I'd put it in here and say, listen, go out for a throw. And literally, he's like the old rugby adage, kick for touch. Yeah. Go in here, it gives us some respite up here, and we can play in their half. Yeah. It's got down to that. It's got to go back to basics because Norwich are not creating anything. You know what I mean? Like within their play.
Yeah. It's almost like they need a young, hungry player that can run between the lines, and someone will know a player like that is joining us here now, Steve Weaver. Steve, thanks for joining us again. I mean, just looking at it, it makes it even more, for me, it makes it even more evident. For me and Rob sitting here and as we're doing the commentary, it's just like you need someone to break those lines when things are struggling like that. And Adam Ida that's his mould, that's what he does. I mean, it seems pretty obvious to sit back and watch, doesn't it? To say, give him a run in the team, give him a go.
Well, I think Adam is a type of player that is probably what you're saying. You know, his first instinct is to run towards the goal. You know, he'll run down the sides. You know, his pace and power. Yeah, he's that sort of player, and he's you know, he's that lad. He's not necessarily one that wants to come to feet and play. He wants to run towards your goal. And I think when they're attacking, you know, he would certainly be a threat. But I think, you know, sometimes in a slower game, and if they drop into where they have done with two banks of four, space for Adam is more from balls into the box, and you know he's a good size Adam, so he can put himself around. So you know, I'm pretty sure Daniel will be aware of that.
Yeah, and is that the frustration as well though? Because you know Jamal Lewis and Max Aaron's really well. We both like to get forward and put balls in the box, and we've seen lots of times they get into those areas, and they almost don't want to put it in the box because there's no one in there. They're kind of getting a little bit frustrated with themselves. I'd prefer to just see them put it in, because eventually you're going to have those runners making those runs because they know the ball's coming in. Exactly as the Brighton goal was. You watched the centre forward who scored, Trossard. He knew he was making that run before the ball was even played in. So Jamal and I think Max at the minute are a bit like they're a bit reluctant to almost put the ball in when they're getting into good areas.
Yeah, the only thing I would say on that is that we've done that for a while. You know, it's like it's not. You know, we've not really crossed the ball into big lads for the last probably 2.5 years. You know, at the moment, the way that we're playing with like a little bit of confidence, it's hard when you're at the bottom. And it's just a natural thing that happens. You know, last year when, you know, everyone wants the ball, it's wonderful football. It's just very difficult when it's not going well, and a time when we were in sort of comfortable possession, one sort of sideways pass straight down the middle of the pitch, and then they're attacking 4v3, and it ends up in the back of the net, and it's another body blow. It's as if like death by 1,000 cuts in it. So it's
yeah, things are always much tougher when things aren't going well. But we're saying as well about how when Norwich play and when they're on form, every single player in Norwich wants the ball into feet. We don't seem to have too many players that are willing or able to even run off the ball, and that poses a problem, doesn't it, when you've got a team like Brighton who can sit with 2 banks of 4, because that becomes easy to mark.
There's no space in it. I mean, for 20 minutes they were very compact, and I listen to the commentary. They're just very, very comfortable without the ball, and go on, and you have it 20 minutes, and then we'll have a chance in a minute. And probably from their first chance they got the goal. So it's just hard to play against them types of teams. Certainly for us who want to play through them. Whether Adams that option as the game goes on, I'm pretty sure they'll be introduced.
So changes at half time, you think, Steve?
Well, it's hard to second guess what the manager's going to do, but I would have thought so. I mean, he's made changes in the last few games when it's not going well. I can't second guess him, but he's never been afraid to make them changes, so I would have thought so.
Yeah, brilliant, Steve. Thanks very much. We'll talk to you again post-match if you're about.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. So again, we're all seeing similar things, aren't we? Really, it's everything points towards one man. I know that's a lot of pressure to put on a young man's shoulders in Adam Idah, but from what he has done, he has produced when he has been in there. You're going to get games when he's not going to be too influential because of his age and inexperience. But now more than ever is the time to think, just go out there and give him an opportunity.
Nothing to lose, Darren. Like I say, put him on, let him play, unleash him basically, and just see what he can do.
And actually, players like Max Aarons and Jamal Lewis will know him really well from playing with him together in the younger sides as well. So it could work in their favour a little bit, perhaps.
And what they will know is that if they put a ball in the box, he will want to get in the box. He won't want to stay in and around the D of the penalty area outside of the box for the pullback. He will want to get in the box. You know what I mean? I'd also consider bringing Todd Cantwell on as well. You know what I mean? Take Duda off, because all the work Wendy's done today, half decent, has been in that 10 role, what we said before.
Well, he's having to come and look for the ball, isn't he? Because he's not getting it in wide areas.
Let him go in that area, behind Adam Idah, bring Todd Cantwell on. Todd Cantwell will want to get in the box. He's got that desire to get in the box as well. And let's see, we've got nothing to lose now. We've got 45 minutes where we need to get 2 goals to win this game. Yeah, at the moment, the way they're playing, they will not score a goal.
Well, we're all good managers as fans,
Absolutely.
aren't we? It's
Absolutely.
easy to do.
Simple up here.
And we've got 2 more joining us now. We're sat at home having to watch it on the telly. We've got Tamal and Anthony joining us again. Tamal, first of all, come to you. I mean, it feels a bit like Groundhog Day again, doesn't it, when we watch Norwich play every week? But as we're speaking to Steve Weaver there, and Rob said, the frustration, I mean, can you see it as fans at home? It seems it's all a bit slow and a bit laboured from Norwich.
Yeah, it's frustrating. We've had chances. I mean, that first 20 minutes, we were definitely the better side. Hernandez is obviously lively. I've just got the TV on now in the background. They're going through the goal, and it's just seems like the same mistakes over again, doesn't it? Obviously, Closer gives the ball away, and at the time he gave it away, Lewis and Aarons were far up the pitch, and we're just left really exposed. And then fair play to Brighton, they executed the counter attack well, but it just kind of kills all the momentum that you start to build up, and then it just kind of goes a bit flat again after that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's easy to point the finger, isn't it, at players giving the ball away? But as I said during the commentary, they're on the ball so much, and when you have that ball at your feet, you want to move it as quick as you can. You watch the best teams in the world, the Man Cities, the Liverpools, they pass the ball quick. If you're a player and you've got the ball at your feet for so long and you haven't got to pass on, you tend to then try and force things in the end, which they're trying to do, and it's not coming off. So, I'm a bit reluctant to always point the blame at the ball being given away, because there's no runners off the ball, and that's the difficulty for them at the minute. It's you're trying to force things a bit too much.
Yeah, but then you get frustrated, don't you? So obviously, we're not Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, Man City, any of those teams, are we? So obviously, we're trying to do the right things, and as you say, it's a team game, isn't it? As you say, you can't just blame the guy that gave away the ball if he's not necessarily got the runners that he's looking for, but. You'd like the passes to be a bit more accurate than sometimes they are.
Yeah, and Anthony, you look totally fed up. I'm having to say, just looking at you just there on the screen. We come in optimistic to every game you see with Norwich City, and Hernandez has been a bright light for him, really, hasn't he? They just got getting more of the ball.
Yeah, I think he has all season. He had that little injury earlier on, but I like Hernandez because he's direct and he makes things happen. And we spoke before the game, Darren, about that mentality and determination and passion. He's got it in abundance. Like I was just watching a clip then when he lost the ball, or someone lost the ball, and he was tracking back and he won a tackle in their final third. So that's the kind of determination which I think not everyone in the starting 11 has that. And it's a shame you can't divvy that around and share it around amongst the players. But he's been really good today. He's always good when he plays. He gives it his all. And as a fan, that's what you can ask for. I think players that show that they give it their all.
And you've played at Carrow Road. I've had the pleasure of watching you play football, and I believe you won the Darren Eadie Future Star or something in the past, didn't you? I mean,
yeah.
Where would you see yourself playing at the moment? What type of player are you?
The Mike Walker Premier Player, actually, mate. But yeah, do you know? I think we need a boss in the middle. As I said earlier before the game, we need a boss in the middle of the park to pull the strings and do you know what we need? I was watching earlier thinking, and I had a massive man crush on Bradley Johnson. We need a Bradley Johnson in the middle of the park. I think you've got Tete and McLean, both two good players, both kind of do the same thing. I think I think we lack a little bit of a creativity in that position. Bradley Johnson, he had that creativity, and also he was industrious. He worked hard. He was combative. I think we need somebody in the middle of the park to really kind of G the lads up when we're going to go a goal down. Because now we can go one or two ways. We can lose 2 or 3-0, or we can somebody can grab the game by the scruff of the neck and then bring us back, and we can give ourselves a fighting chance.
And somehow, in cricket as well, I guess it's very similar. Any elite sport, you need different characters in the changing rooms. And do you see that as something Norwich are lacking at the moment in terms of the personalities or the leaders on the pitch?
It's tough to say, isn't it, without being privy and being in the dressing room and seeing what goes on. But I'd assume come this part of the season, obviously Norwich have been in this situation so many times throughout the competition. Going in at half-time down, you say the right things, I'm sure, but if you keep getting negative results from that, it might start to wear a little bit thin. So yeah, it does test you as a squad. As individuals, you've got to find that 5, 10, 15% extra to try and get yourself going. That's not just the manager's job or the captain. You're a professional athlete. You're out there. You should be, trying your utmost to really drag your team forward. And as I said, it might take something special from someone that will end up lifting the team. And at the moment, that looks like Hernandez. Buendia showed a little bit just before the end, didn't he? That really good close control around the box, but unfortunately didn't come to anything. So hopefully in this first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the second half, we can get a little bit of spark from somewhere, and it will hopefully galvanise everyone. And it's tough about the fans. We all know what it's like at Carrow Road when the fans do. If we got an early goal and the crowd starts to get behind the team, it would definitely lift. So it is it's probably something that we're missing out on a little bit. Great
positivity from the boys. We'll speak to you after the game, hopefully with something a bit more positive to talk about. But thanks for joining us.
Good guys.
Mate, look, where do they go? Do they make subs?
I would make subs, but like I say, that's me. The manager knows what's best in the dressing room. He knows what's said. This is the biggest 45 minutes ever. If they want to have a slim chance of staying in the Premier League, they need to regroup, they need to go out and they need to win this game. So it's going to be a massive 45 minutes.
Yeah, we've got the first half stats here for you now, just to take a look at. In terms, again, possession-wise, as expected, Norwich have had 5 shots, but nothing on target again from Norwich.
No corners.
Offsides, 1 yellow, no corners. It's not very good stats in terms of their attacking prowess, is it?
It seems like the game's been played in the middle of the field, isn't it?
Yeah.
Norwich will have it, they will keep it in front of Brighton, like I said. They give the ball away and then Brighton will probably do something similar. But the shot on target was like the touch of class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was a basic move. It was a ball down the channel, cross, goal.
Yeah.
Simple. Football's a simple game.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, enjoy the second half, have a bit more positive. We'll see you after the game.
Goal down and without a single shot on target in the first half against a Brighton side that themselves Wider and wider for Norwich City. Another.
Well, I think that's probably Norwich's season over, and has robbed their best opportunity to had to win that one today. And I think the disappointment again is you see 20 minutes, 25 minutes at the end, and they seem to have a bit of creativity and a few lads sort of breaking lines and creating things. But apart from that, it was all very much the same up until that point.
Yeah, I think when the 3 subs were made, you automatically saw the change, the endeavour, the work rate. You know what I mean? Brighton for 60 minutes, if you was a defender at Brighton for 60 minutes, you'd be happy and say, I'm comfortable here and whatever. Like,
these are not a good side, are they, Brighton?
No.
They've won 1 game in 13, so we shouldn't put any miss. Actually, we've come up against a good side today. No. If you've got any ambitions to stay in the Premier League, these are the teams you've got to at least don't lose to at home.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You mean, like I say, until that last 20 minutes, Norwich didn't look like they were going to score. Basically, it was as simple as that, and that's worrying. You know what I mean? Like I say, but the last 20 minutes there was positives. You know what I mean? Todd Cantwell came on, Pukki came on, but most importantly, Adam Idah came on, and he put the defenders under pressure. He's hit the post with a header. You know what I mean? Like I say, in the last 20 minutes, if he'd have started, who knows now? You know what I mean? It's gone. The moment's gone. But like I say, it's disappointment because today was the last day where you really sort of like had any chance. We are going to like stay up. We had to win that game today. And like you said, Brighton were no great shape. You know what I mean? And like to go out with a bit of a whimper like we've done is disappointing.
Yeah. But one of the bright things about this season is the emergence of some of the youngsters we've got. We're going to talk to Steve Weaver again now. Don't want to talk to you about the game too much, Steve, because obviously we're all as disappointed as everybody is. But for you, it must be, at least some of these boys have actually progressed from your kind of tenureship underneath you and progressed into the first team. And for you, it's been a fairly successful season, I guess, in terms of how many lads we've seen given an opportunity.
Yeah, I suppose so, Darren, but don't feel like that's in here, to be fair. I feel your frustrations and, it's difficult. It's been a difficult afternoon. We're obviously pleased for Adam to get another 25 minutes, show what he can do. It's always bittersweet, mate. It always feels better when your first team's winning and you want your players to be part of something in a winning team, So, it's hard to come on here really, mate, and say how great it is for the kids when, the first team have been beat. We sort of win and lose together, mate. So, I tell you what, it will do. It'll land them in good stead going forward to be part of something like this.
Yeah, that was my next point. It's going to give them massive experience in terms of the level they're playing at the minute to go, which is probably looking back in the Championship. But these boys can thrive, can't they? Because, ultimately as well, you'd hope there's going to be more opportunities for them in the Championship.
Well, you hope so. If you look at the 4 lads who have played pretty consistently over the last couple of years, is this the first time or the first sustained period when it's been tough for them? So they'll find out a little bit more about themselves in the last sort of 12 months or this season than they would have done, in the first couple of years. I'd like to think that all 4 have come out with some sort of credit, although it's been difficult for them. And to be fair to Adam Idah, he's doing it at the moment, in a team that, we're finding it difficult. So you hope that, when he does get more opportunity that, he's come through this with, going through a difficult period for a team that he sees a little bit of it, and he's learning in the toughest environment. It doesn't get any easier, does it?
Yeah. Well, Steve, thanks for your time and good luck for the rest of the season. I know it's disappointing and you won't actually get any more game time in terms of some of your younger lads, but we'll see you again next season. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, take care. Thanks, fellas. See you now.
So again, there is a bright spot to come out of this, isn't there? In terms of, as Steve has said there, your opportunity for your youngsters to bed in a difficult time, because things aren't always going to be as difficult as they are now, are they, for them?
No, absolutely. You're playing in the toughest league in the world. Yeah, I mean, to have 5 academy boys on the pitch at the end of the game is testament to how well they're doing in the academy. So that's a positive, and going forward, that will be a massive positive. And like I say, I mean, if all those 5, you'd like to think will be starting if they go down to the Championship, when they go down to the Championship next season. And those 4, like Steve was saying there, that have played regularly in the team this year will stand them in great stead in terms of character-wise, attitude and wise. Because like I say, the last 20 minutes there, they're hurting. You know what I mean? They don't want to go down. They want to stay in this division, and that's what you want to see. You know what I mean? You want to see pride and passion in playing for Norwich City, and those boys certainly have done that. Not just today in that last 25 minutes, but I think throughout the majority of the season.
Yeah. And it gives those lads a massive lift as well, step back into the right. And we can see at the minute, we see Todd Cantwell still outside on the pitch, sat on his own, looks pretty fed up with things. And I think there's an air of inevitability, probably the players as well, now realising that was their opportunity.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, obviously, people say there's still points to play for, but I mean, that's 6 straight defeats now, and like I say, they're hurting, and it's good to see that they're hurting. You know what I mean, we're all hurting. You know what I mean, but more so them because they've been out on the pitch all season, and they want to play in this league. You know what I mean, it's a great league. So with them feeling like they are today, and probably when they will get relegated and whatever, like every game in the Championship, they will be looking to get back in this league again.
And Tomo Mills is going to join us back again now. Anthony's had enough. I think he didn't compare to anymore. Tomo is braving it with us. You know, we see Todd Cantwell there, Tomo, and he's sat out on the pitch on his own. It's almost resigning himself to the fact that the game is up, really, isn't it, in the Premier League? Well, I can't hear me. Can you hear me now, Tomo?
Oh, hello.
Oh, he is, yes. So we have just said Anthony's not joined us. I think he's had enough of the game and the situation. But we're just saying about how Todd Cantwell still sat on the pitch now, looks totally fed up. You know, is it a case of they've kind of resigned themselves to the fact they'll go back into the Championship? That's what it appears to me.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yes, it was a tough watch that second half. There wasn't an awful lot of urgency. We had plenty of possession, but I'm sure Brighton fans were watching that game and they probably weren't overly worried. This didn't seem, even that last 5-6 minutes, wasn't a great amount of urgency. Obviously, we hit the post, didn't we, last few minutes. It was good to see Adam Eadie get some decent run. He's obviously looks like he might be an important player for us moving forward, looking into the future. But yeah, it wasn't the most inspiring second half, if I'm being completely honest.
So from a fan's point of view, them looking likely to be back in the Championship next year, is that, you know, are you one of those supporters that enjoys the Championship? I mean, as a player, I hate it.
Yeah, look, I'm obviously not a footballer like you are, so I can be a little bit more removed from that side of it. Look, as soon as we all know what it's like, as soon as the season comes around in September or whenever it's going to start, we'll be right back into it, won't we? We'll be full of optimism. We'll be thinking the best. So obviously, you don't want to be where we are now, but you know, you can't change that, unfortunately, and hopefully we can have a decent summer. It's going to be a huge summer for the club, isn't it, if we do go down? Just how many of the lads were able to keep hold of. It's going to be something that everybody's going to be glued to their phones, radios, or whatever, trying to listen to or not listen to all the speculation that's going to be around, and then hopefully we can keep hold of as many of the young guys, especially as possible, and give it a good go to come back next year.
Yeah, that's important. Tomo, thanks for joining us and good luck for the cricket season. Take care, mate. We'll see you next season.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Take care.
And that's an important part of the experience they're getting, and it is now they've got to hold on to these players because they've been proven in the Championship. The last thing they want to do is the lads that have had a relatively decent season leaving and going somewhere else, because there is a danger of that. Because, you know, Todd Cantwell, who we can see sat out on the pitch there now, you know, he's ambitious. He wants to play at a high level, and actually one of the players this season who is capable of going and doing that is him. So you've got to keep players like him, haven't you?
Yes, you have. You've got to keep all 5 of them if you can. You know what I mean? Because these are the future of Norwich City Football Club. And there's a good future. If these 5 start next season in the Championship, you know what I mean, if we do go down, when we go down, these 5 are massively important in terms of performance-wise, in terms of what they've achieved this season. They're not going to want that again. You know what I mean? They've done it. They've gone in the Championship. They ripped that up, which they did the last season. I'm sure they would again. And like I say, we'll stand them in good stead. They want to be hurting. They are hurting. You can see them on the pitch there.
You can see it. I mean, look at Tim Close and Al and Alex Tetty. You know, they're kind of venting their frustrations. They see it. You know, they hurt. So don't, you know, as fans, don't ever think these boys don't care, because they do. Yeah, it's the worst feeling in the world is getting relegated. I know it's not official now, but you know, it appears by the body language and the way the players are, they resign themselves to the fact that that's it. You know, and it hurts them as much as it hurts the fans. I think we can see that, and it's actually quite good to see that, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it's just sometimes a little too late. You know what I mean? Like, you wanted them to do it when we played Southampton three weeks ago, whenever it started and whatever. Like, you wanted to see this sort of like character and whatever. Like, so I don't want to feel like this now.
Yeah.
If they'd have done that at the start of the Southampton game, if they could have gone forward and seen them now, they might have been different about the whole aspect of it and say, listen, what we've got, we're in a fight here, we've got a chance. Now they've still got a chance, but it was so much different 3 weeks ago when they played Southampton here.
And we've got the possession stats and stuff for the game today, I think, coming up now. And again, Norwich having the possession, shot, a 1 on target. I mean, I know Brighton have only had 2, but it's not a pretty picture, is it? When you're playing at home, Rob, you know, you've got possession as much as that in the Premier League, which is a difficult thing to have. So you've got the majority of the possession, but you're still not creating anything. You're not.
No
really
corners, 1 shot on target. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I can't even remember the 8 shots, to be fair. I mean, what they were, I don't know. But like I say, this is like the promised land of Premier League. Go out with fire in your belly. Go out wanting to say, I want to stay in it. No shots on target, no corners. You know what I mean? Like I say, I don't think there was times in situations where you want to see 3, 4, 5 people in the box.
Yeah. And there's the difficulty been this season when teams like Brighton have dragged out results when they've not been playing well. They've dragged out a draw, whereas Norwich haven't done that. No. Even today, you know, you're going to concede goals in the Premier League. Yeah. It's no disgrace to concede a goal to Brighton in the Premier League, but you've got to be able to score goals to at least not lose that game, and that makes all the difference over a period of a season when you give yourself another. I mean, 6 draws, 7 draws, they would have been.
They're out with the rest of them then, aren't they? I totally agree. It's either all or nothing. I think Tamal said it. It's like it's either all or nothing. There's nothing in between. Basically, like say 5, 6 draws, I mean, gives you 5 or 6 more points, and that's managing games. As we know, Brighton managed that game really well today. You know what I mean? Like I say, they knew what they had to do. Probably came thinking a draw was good for us. Got the goal. Never really looked in any sort of problem until the last 15, 20 minutes when Norwich sort of like started to go a bit more direct, started to go a bit more, like put more bodies in the box, started like to work them like with runs down the side and whatever. Like but until that last 20 minutes, it was just pretty easy day for.
And is that an experience thing, not just only from the players, because there's not too much Premier League experience in that Norwich side, or in the management staff either. So is it a little bit of?
I don't think it's the management, because the management puts it on there. Like I mean, they're told the way they're playing, the mentality of the way they played today. I think is ball retention rather than risk. You know, I mean, like you say, there's no risky passes going through the gaps or through and beyond the Brighton defensive line. It's ball retention. Let's keep the ball 55%. I mean, they've had the ball today. Sometimes you've got to take risks with the ball, and I don't think Norwich take enough risks.
No, top man. Thanks again, Rob. Not very many smiling faces in the studio today, but at least Norwich fans, they're still smiling.